Hey YouTube, it's Scarecrow Kaiser. What is up? I am going to do a deck profile today on a deck that's like, I don't think I've done a deck profile on this in like a year or so, something like that. It's been a while, but I've been playing with it lately. I went to a couple tournaments with it, and I had a lot of fun at both. One of them I got second, the other I got first. It's fun to play with a deck that you haven't played with in a long time, especially since it got more support since then. But this is going to be my Nightrose profile. So, yeah, the first time I played it, I went 3-1, and then when I played it the other day, I went 4-0. So here's the list. To start out, I'm running two copies of Granblue, I think that's how you say his name, and I am using him as my starter. Some people like to use Peter the Ghosty, but I don't like it in this deck for a couple reasons. I don't like the counterblast. This deck is very counterblast heavy, and while this deck is really good at regenerating its counterblast, you still need, like, I burn through like 5 counterblasts every single turn, so I feel like I need the additional counterblast. Yeah, it's very common and very easy in this deck for me to revive like 2 of these in the same turn and get to do the unflip. Some people would say, like, why not just use Nightrose to revive it and get the extra counter charge like that? I don't really like that though, because you have to use Nightrose is Generation Break extremely sparingly. That mill 3 that's like 1 less turn you get to be in the game. You can't just mill 3 willy-nilly. You gotta be very careful, especially in a deck that has other cards that are milling and soul charging, and you gotta be very careful. And that's really my argument for it. Pete is a really cool card, but he works really good with Greninja and stuff, and he's a ghosty, but the milling 2 on top of his counterblast is why I don't prefer him. So, into the trigger lineup, I got 4 Rampage and 4 Rough She's Banshee for a total of 8 crits. Rough She's Banshee is a really good card in this deck, obviously. Then I run 4 Nick. I haven't been a fan of Nick in the past, but I kind of like him right now. 4 is working okay for me. I'm not a huge fan in general of stands. I could take out some and put in more crits, but I kind of like it as it is now. It's running perfectly fine for me. And last, we obviously have our 4 heal triggers. Moving on for our grade 1s, we got 4 Jin, our damage and flipping perfect guard, which you really need in this deck. Our 4 Ghosty Brothers. Then I play 3 Necrobone. In the past I've played 4, because he's such a good card. He's really, really good. I have nothing bad to say about him. I just cut down to 3s to make room for other things. Like, I'm running, for my last grade 1, 2 Bale the Ghosty. I cut 1 Necrobone so I could play 2 of him. And I like Bale, and Bale teams up really well with Necrobone. Bale just equals out to like a free attack in that sense, so I like him. So that is it for my grade 1s. For the grade 2s, we got 3 Necrolazy, one of the most important cards of this deck. It's like the backbone of the deck. Very, very important card, but because this deck has Obadiah and stuff, you don't need to run more than 3, I don't think. 2 Columbard. He increases the number of attacks we can do. It's a really good card in that sense. 2 King Serpent. He technically, in a way, increases the number of attacks we can do because we revive him, and then we undo the counterblast we did to revive him, and then we can like trade him off for another card. So he's very good. I thought I could maybe get away with taking him out, but then I quickly decided no, this card has to come back in. This card's just too good. 2 Necrorook, our beat stick, our Nahalem of the deck, you could say. And last, 2 Skeleton Cannoneer, our control oriented card. It's a very good card, combos very well with the G-Guard combo to kill off a card in the opponent's turn. He's really helpful. I used him, he was very helpful against Angel Feathers to kill off Broken Hearts. I used him against Gear Chronicle to kill off their Vainglories. It's a very good card. So that's it for the grade 2 lineup. You notice there's a lot of variety, not like heavy numbers of each card. And that's because I feel like in a deck like this one that is very toolboxy, you're better off, because it's a toolbox and you have easy access to all your resources, you're better off having more options. The deck's already consistent enough, you might as well give yourself lots of different things you can utilize. And moving on to the grade 3s, I play 2 Night Mist. Really the only reason I run him is if I'm going to have to write a grade 3 that's not Nightrose later on, I'm going to really need to, if I draw Nightrose, probably need to write it. And if I'm going to have to write a grade 3 that isn't Nightrose and then go into Nightrose later, I might as well break ride. That's the logic I have behind that. Next we got 2 Nightstorm. Really good grade, really good card in this deck. He just attacks and then calls out someone else. It's a really good card. I don't play the dragon because he mills, and this deck mills enough, and it's not worth it to me. I'd rather just do multi attacks. And then our last grade 3 obviously is our 4 Nightrose. Really good card. Very excited to be getting another Nightrose. Really excited to see how this deck can go. This deck's already really good. One of the best decks in the game at the moment, I think. So that's it for the main deck. For the G-Zone, first, almost always my first stride, Obadiah. Really fantastic card. I could very easily see an argument to play more than one, but I only play one. He's just the setup for all of your combos later on in the game, and he can revive. Usually with him, I'll send like 2 hollow units I need and like a Bail the Ghosty, and then I'll revive Bail the Ghosty over top of the starter behind him, so that the starter's now in the drop zone, and I got my Bail out of it. Another one of that I really like is Blue Heart. Thing with Blue Heart is you'll revive 2 cards, one of them usually being like a King Serpent, and you'll unflip, then your Counterblast, and use him to convert 2 cards, including one of them usually that Serpent. That's something you actually want, so I like Blue Heart a lot. Next, probably the best stride in the deck for, I think you say his name is Gauche? Gouache? I don't know. But he's a very good card. He's my main go-to stride. Using him to Soul Blast some cards like, what do you call it? The Banshee. And then you'll call that Banshee and move it to Soul and draw. So you got a free draw out of it, and she's back in the Soul, so you can use her again next turn. It helps fill up your field without using very much Counterblast. Whereas usually to fill up the field you have to use Counterblast, and less Counterblast you keep for the battle phase, the less attacks you have. But he's a really good card. Next we have our 4 Nightrose Stride. I don't use her often, but she can be good, and she's especially good when you haven't rode the grade 3 yet and you need a Nightrose name. You can straight into her and utilize her at least for her name, which often in this deck is actually more important than what the Vanguard's actual effect is. Your rear guards do most of the work in this deck, not the Vanguard. And then our last G unit is one Sabreeze. And moving on to our G guards, one Screw, just to have that just in case situation. Two of our Corpse Dragon, because he's a easy 20k, and two of our Negro Lilies, because she's really good. You have that G-Guard combo with her, Nightrose, and either Necrolazy or Necrolazy and Skeleton. Really good. But yes, that is it for this deck profile. I hadn't done a deck profile on this in a long time, but I've been messing with it around in tournaments lately, and it's been doing really well, and it's really fun, so I thought I'd update for you. But thank you guys for watching.